Hello lovely people, how are you today? Welcome to my top 10 cult films.
I'll have what she's having.
Number 10, Office Space. Office Space is a comedy about just how horrible and mundane and boring it is to work in an office. It's directed by Mike Judge, who's famous for creating Beavis and Butthead. The film follows the story of a man named Peter Gibbons and his two friends, and they decide to create a virus in the office's computing systems, which takes the small decimals of the cents, which are usually just rounded up in the computing system, and puts it into an account. Just like in Superman 3. This film is so funny. I rarely ever laugh at films, and I just laugh so much at this film. Number 9, Clerks. Clerks was the first film of director Kevin Smith, and it cost literally nothing to film. I mean, Kevin Smith had so little money that he shot the film in black and white because colour was too expensive. It's a comedy about two guys. One works in a small convenience store, and the other guy works in a video rental store. The film just follows a day in the life of these two guys in the store. The film is ridiculously quotable, and it's just hilarious. It's also the first time we ever get to see the just infamous characters Jay and Silent Bob. Number 8, Little Shop of Horrors. This is just a classic 80s comedy musical starring Rick Moranis. It's about a plant that eats people. That's essentially the entire story. The entire film is an homage to classic 1950s B films and just the ridiculousness of most of them. It's one of my all-time favourite musicals. The songs are they're just so ridiculous, and the storyline's ridiculous, and oh, it's just such a weird, odd little movie, and that's just what makes it so brilliant. Number 7, this is Spinal Tap. Now this is usually much higher up in cult film lists, but you know, this is my list, so shut up. This is Spinal Tap is just the quintessential mockumentary. It follows the fictional band Spinal Tap, and it's just so mental. It's hilarious, and the quotes, so quotable. I mean, it goes up to 11, and just, everything. You could literally quote the entire script. The Stonehenge sequence is just so funny. You have to watch it. Number 6, all of the Monty Python movies. This may be the greatest thing that I've ever bought. Now for something completely different, Holy Grail, Life of Brian, and The Meaning of Life. My personal favourite, controversially, is Monty Python and The Meaning of Life. I personally think it's more like the show, whereas Holy Grail and Life of Brian were just, you know, films on their own storyline, and that was it. Meaning of Life, I just felt it kind of changed everything up, and I think it's the funniest film personally. And now for something completely different is basically just sketches from the show, just all sewn together and put into a film. It's not really a film, is it? It's kind of like, it's kind of like a best of reel. Number 5, The Big Lebowski. How do I even describe the plot of The Big Lebowski? Okay, so there's this guy called the Dude, and he likes bowling. And then all of a sudden these Germans come along and steal his rug. And there's another guy called Lebowski, and he's in a wheelchair. And there's a missing toe, and there's a dream sequence, and there's White Russians. And yeah, I can't really summarise the plot of The Big Lebowski. Honestly, if you've ever been on Reddit and you haven't seen The Big Lebowski, you're literally missing half the jokes on Reddit. I mean, Reddit is The Big Lebowski, and that's basically it. It's the Coen brothers at their best. I mean, I personally don't think it's their best film. I think their best film is A Serious Man, personally. But it's just such a classic, brilliant comedy, and it's hilariously quotable. I mean, what else could you want? Number 4, A Clockwork Orange. Yeah, this may also be another thing that I really love. Just Kubrick in general. A Clockwork Orange may not be my favourite Kubrick film. My favourite Kubrick film is all of them, to be honest. A Clockwork Orange was banned in Ireland and Britain and mostly everywhere until 1999 when Stanley Kubrick died. Back then people watched it and just thought it was the devil. It's kind of, to quote Bart Simpson, it's pretty tame by today's standards. But it's a story of the young boy Alex and his droogs, and they're effing mental. And then he goes to prison and he's rehabilitated. And well, that's actually it, to be honest. And it's just crazy, it's weird, it's very Kubrickian, it's disturbing. You will never ever hear Singing in the Rain in the same context ever again. Watch that film and you'll just know, you can't even watch Singing in the Rain without thinking of that scene. It's... Number 3. Harold and Maude. Now most of you probably never even heard of the film Harold and Maude, but let me tell you, it's brilliant and lovable and fantastic and just enter hyperbole here. It's a story of a young boy who's obsessed with death, who keeps on faking his own suicide, and he falls in love with this 80-year-old woman who's also obsessed with death. But they're both obsessed with death for completely different reasons. She's obsessed to death because she's close to death, and he's obsessed to death because he just loves death. And underneath all this is just a lovable comedy with a soundtrack completely by Cat Stevens. Oh, can a movie get any better? Harold and Maude is a masterpiece. Number 2. The Rocky Horror Picture Show. For many years I would have said that this was my favourite film, and it still is one of my favourite films, just because it's so odd and weird. It is the story of Brad and Janet, who one day get a flat tire and go into the castle of Dr. Frankenfurter. What happens in that castle is just it's indescribable. There's a transvestite who is Dr. Frankenfurter. There's a kind of Frankensteinian-esque storyline going on. There's just, I can't even describe the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's crazy, it's brilliant, it's fantastic, it's hilarious, it's weird. It's just, I can't even think of words anymore. Watch it now. You will never be the same again. The number 1 best cult film, in my opinion, Withnail and I. Paul McGann and Richard E. Grant. I could just watch them for the rest of my life. The story is 2 Londoners decide that they're fed up with just the city life and decide to go on holidays to the English countryside, and they stay in Withnail's uncle's house in the country, and they just can't do it, and it's just the best thing you'll ever see in your life, probably. The script should be just like lauded like the Bible. It's the best script to a film ever. But I don't think that the movie would have worked if it just wasn't for the brilliance of just Richard E. Grant and Paul McGann. Watch it, and watch it again, and watch it again and again and again and again. It never gets boring, it never gets bad, it never gets tiresome, annoying, or anything. It's amazing, it's fantastic, it's brilliant, it's superb, it's a masterpiece. It's Withnail and I. They're my top 10 cult films. Hopefully now you'll go along and you'll watch these and they will probably change your life forever. That's promising a bit too much. If you've seen any of these films or have just watched one of these films, tell me what you think of them in the comments below. And until next time, lovely people, bye!